Baseball is a popular sport with kids who see the pitcher as the premier position, much like the quarterback of a football team. Since young kids are developing and growing so fast and want to pitch, it is important to understand a few fundamentals about the position in order to prevent injury and ensure the young athlete does not deteriorate his physical well-being. By doing this, we can provide him with the opportunity for a lifetime of playing and enjoying the game.
Hello, I'm Coach Mike, coach of Copper's Cove Summer 16U baseball program. Welcome to Bulldog Baseball. Today, we're going to start a discussion about how to teach a young baseball player to pitch. It is important to let young pitchers develop a delivery of their own, one that they are comfortable with, but there are a few tips you can give them to ensure their delivery is not hurting their success as a pitcher. There are several bad habits a pitcher can develop, but with the right fundamentals, young pitchers can prevent injury and promote longevity. We will focus our first discussion on the difference between momentum and explosion.
The first thing to understand is that the human body is not put together in a way for a pitcher to build momentum and deliver a consistently accurate pitch. A pitcher needs to learn how to explode from one point and deliver to another, the strike zone.
Defenders in the field are not limited by this, because all they need to do is get the ball in a general direction where another defender is there to catch the ball and make the play. Building momentum in their delivery is actually an added benefit.
To better understand why momentum can be hurtful to a pitcher, we need to discuss a lesson in physics and anatomy, or you can just try this simple practical exercise.
From the top of the pitcher's mound, align your shoulders square to home plate. Now try to build momentum straight towards home plate. The only way to build momentum straight to the plate is to rock backwards towards second base and then back towards home. Now try doing this with the baseball and throw it. Your body cannot make an overhand throw in a straight line. You need to twist and turn your body. Now try the same thing, only instead of your shoulders being squared to the plate, line your shoulders up with an imaginary line from home to second base. Once again, your body needs to turn and twist to make the throw.
It is easy to get confused here and believe that adding momentum to the turn and twist will add speed to the pitch and thus make a better pitch. Although this is a true statement, for pitch speed, the major goal of a young pitcher is consistently put the ball in the strike zone. Adding momentum to the body's twists and turn will create a wild pitch. To see this, watch this practical exercise.
Tie a ball to the end of a piece of string. Hold the opposite end of the string that the ball is on, spin it over your head like a lasso, and try to throw it into the strike zone. You can see that the farther away from the ball that you hold the string, the harder it is to throw an accurate pitch. Also, the closer to the ball that you hold the string, the easier it is to throw an accurate pitch. So the trick to consistency is limiting the turns and twists of the delivery. Building momentum in the turns and twists of the body during a pitcher's delivery will make it increasingly difficult for a pitcher to throw an accurate strike.
So what we are going to discuss today is how to minimize the extra momentum in the windup, build up potential momentum, and explode. We will do this by breaking down the windup in three different phases. Phase 1, the beginning of the windup. Phase 2, the buildup of potential momentum. And Phase 3, the explosion. In the first phase, the beginning of the windup, an easy way to help young pitchers refrain from adding unnecessary momentum to their windup is to teach them where their center of gravity is, to keep it as small and low as possible, and to keep it aligned. Again, this is at the beginning of the windup, Phase 1.
Watching this demonstrator, you can see that keeping his elbows and shoulders up, he is raising his center of gravity. With a higher center of gravity, every time he moves his center of gravity from above his pivot foot, he creates more momentum in a direction other than towards home plate. Keeping your hands, arms, and shoulders relaxed at a naturally low point at the beginning of your windup will help keep your center of gravity low. Keeping your center of gravity low will not only decrease the amount of momentum your body creates, it will require less work from the pitcher to maintain balance.
Keeping your center of gravity low will help keep you from building random momentum. But with proper alignment of your body, you can prevent extra momentum during Phase 1 of your windup altogether.
Keep your head, center of gravity, and pivot foot all in line, perpendicular to the ground during Phase 1 of your windup. Watch this demonstration and see how this pitcher keeps his center of gravity low and at a comfortable spot, and keeps his head, center of gravity, and pivot foot all in line, establishing proper alignment.
To prevent confusion for young athletes, it is important to let your young pitcher practice this and all pitching fundamentals from on top of a mound and with the pitching rubber as often as possible. There's a noticeable difference between pitching from on top of a mound and pitching on flat ground. Now that we have talked a little about Phase 1, the beginning of the windup, let's talk about Phase 2, building potential momentum. What I'm referring to as potential momentum is potential energy. To explain this as simply as possible, take a rubber band, stretch it, and hold it. It is not moving, but it is producing potential energy. We all know what happens when you let go of a rubber band. This is because of the potential energy created when you stretch and hold it. This is the same energy we want our young pitchers to be able to create.
We will use this demonstration to walk you through how to build potential momentum. Maintain the alignment of your head, center of gravity, and pivot foot throughout phase 2. Notice as he brings his knee up, his arms go up at the same time and approximately at the same distance. This step is much like preparing to compress a spring or push a heavy object, all while maintaining proper alignment.
Many pitchers like to twist at this point, pointing their knee back towards second base. I would encourage pitchers to get in the habit of bringing their knees straight up because you don't want them to have major differences when pitching from the windup compared to pitching from their stretch. When pitching from the stretch, as soon as their knee breaks the plane that runs across the pitcher's mound from third to first base, they can only pitch to the batter or attempt a pickoff move to second, but can no longer execute a pickoff move to third or first. So for consistency with every pitch, from the windup or the stretch, and when pitching to the batter or disguising a pickoff move to any base, I suggest they always raise their knee straight up.
In order to maintain balance and consistency with the pitch, the knee comes up at the same time as the hands and arms. At this point, the pitcher is ready to build his potential momentum. He needs to bring his knee down at the same time as the arms come down and separate. This is the first time in the delivery that the arms and legs should be pushed from the body. Try to keep everything in line. Push the throwing hand out of the glove, down and back with the palm facing down. When stretched back, his fingers should be pointing towards second base, palm up. And now the pitcher is ready for phase 3 to explode.
Phase 1 and phase 2 are important for keeping the pitcher in line, aiding consistency, and protecting the pitcher's arm from injury. Phase 3 is from where the power and speed of the pitch come.
The pivot foot is the explosion foot. The pitcher really needs to push off with his pivot foot straight towards home plate. This is where his power comes from.
A tip to help with his explosion. He should push his lead foot straight towards home plate, leading with his butt and bottom of his foot. He needs to bring his throwing arm overhanded as he does this. He rotates his lead leg to point straight to where he wants to throw the ball.
Draw a line in the mound from his pivot foot towards home plate. This lead foot should land either on the line or slightly open. Slightly open means an inch or two to the left of the line for the right-handed pitcher or to the right of the line for a left-handed pitcher. It is important for your pitcher to ensure his lead foot is in the same spot every time. This keeps the pitcher from having to throw across his body and improves consistency. His explosion off his pivot foot needs to be enough for his lead foot to land 90 to 100% of his height from the pivot foot.
When you put all this together, you have a fundamentally sound delivery from the windup that will help prevent your young pitcher and aid in consistency.